But
I mean, but yeah, it's true. But you know, there's always games people never played, right?
Yeah.
If people came and told me, "Damn, you never played Gears of War 6," I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm not interested." Like, I would not cry over it. Like, it would not. I would not cry one bit if I don't ever play another Microsoft first party game again. Like, it would not be detrimental. It would not be detrimental. You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest. That's how Microsoft is so underwhelming to me. Like right now, this November, I'm gonna finally get a Switch. Because at this point, I gotta get a Switch, man. It's just too many games that I'm looking. I'm like, I gotta play this. Yeah. I just gotta play some of these games. I got to. So I'm gonna get a Switch. You know, I was hoping, you know, because these, you know, Nintendo dudes, they come out with rumors about a Switch Pro, and I'm like, maybe, you know, Nintendo may want to capitalize, you know, on a more powerful hardware for third party. All right, I get it, but that shit ain't coming out, you know.
They making too much money and they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care about that power stuff. But I'm like, I'm fool. I'm gonna get me the basic Switch, the base one, the one that you connect to the TV. And I know there's games my wife wants to play too. She loves, I don't know how, but she likes Super Smash Brothers. So like, all right, but you know, there's games I want to play, so I gotta get it. But like with Xbox, I'm like, is you guys don't feel that way? Like, I know we troll and we want Microsoft to be better, right? But you ain't at the point right now where you look at Microsoft and they're no different than like a dev or like a publisher you really don't talk about all the time. You know what I mean? Like those publishers that are like, you really don't care that much.
Yep.
You know, like you hardly talk about them. They're just there. If they make a game, you might. That's how I look at Microsoft at this point. I look at them as a dev, like a publisher that. If they make one game that looks good, then I'll be interested. But as a publisher, I don't really care about them as a publisher now at this point. That's how underwhelming they've been. Like, how you guys feel about that?
Listen, as a, you know, I don't know, man. I keep trying to give them more and more chances, but I'm kind of out. It's especially every day, Porter Rock, there's something different. It's, you know, we don't care if you buy a console, just play NES right now. We don't care, you know, how many consoles we sell. We don't care. Like, they literally do not care, and they're setting us up for something, right? And guys won't accept it in their brains. They keep expecting these big blockbuster games that compete with Sony, and Phil goes out every day and say, no, that's not what we want. That's not what we're gonna do. And these guys just expect it. This is how you get them bragging about PC games now. That's exclusive to PC and not Xbox.
Mind blowing.
Yeah,
that is mind blowing. These dudes are capping for a game that they can't even play.
Yeah,
they can't play.
I'm playing it. I've been the only one talking about this game. I know J-Dub, he planned on getting it, but J-Dub's the only person.
J-Dub got like a cockpit in his house right now.
Yeah, but well, hell, I do too, pretty much. But no, I mean, it's this game, I've been waiting on this game ever since they announced it. So I want to play. I've been playing the I almost thought about getting X-Plane instead of getting the flight sim, but my God, it's got a real high meta score. The flight sim community that I'm part of loves it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. I just have to go ahead and my motherboard should be here next week. So I'll be taking the PC in the shop and getting the treatment here. But yeah, I'm looking at my settings and it looks like I can do everything between the tessellation will be ultra, the buildings will be high, the trees will be medium because they're trees for Christ's sake. But yeah, the fact that they're bragging about a game they can't play about, I never thought I'd see the day. But then again, you know, Sony took them to the woodshed this generation, and you know, hell, at least Sony announced a console thing for Ghost of Tsushima. That's not my type of tea. I don't mind playing games online, but apparently they're talking about they can support this. Yeah, co-opting, and they can support it for the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm not going to hate on that. It's not my cup of tea. I'm like, well, that's pretty pro-consumer. They just give somebody some free shit like that. You know, and I don't know how they were shut up to Sick Humor. He made a good point. How did Sucker Punch, with less than $500 million, give us a full single player and a multiplayer under COVID, but 343 is having some issues? I mean, that's a legitimate question. I think that I'll be talking about it on Wednesday. I'll say that.
With a fraction of the money and a fraction of the manpower. J-Dub, speak on that, man. Come on, you're the Governor Cuomo of this podcast.
Hey man, it is what it is, bro. It is at this point, Puerto Rock. I'm all talked out, man. Like we've been saying this stuff for years.
It's exhausting, man.
Yeah, it's we're in the end game right now. So the end game has already happened. Thanos has already snapped, man. We're just picking up the pieces, and it's unfortunate, man. It really is. I had this big long conversation last night with a couple of guys. You guys know like Blaze 4K and those guys. Yeah. We had this big long conversation, man, and we just finally had to come to terms. And maybe I was in denial, Puerto Rock. I was in denial.
I tried to warn you, right? Like, like J-Dub, man. Like,
without a doubt,
at a certain point, it's just.
Yeah,
the Knicks. I came to terms with the Knicks. It took decades, but I got there.
Yeah, but you know what? When it was all said and done, it just came down to the fact that I couldn't accept it, and I kept wanting Microsoft to do something different than they wanted to do for themselves. Yeah. And so I kept in my mind, I kept saying, no, they can't do this because you can't keep making these world's most powerful console and not delivering games and not doing this and not doing that. And they're like, look, this without a doubt will be the last console for them. If this doesn't work out for them, they could easily spin it off to just being a third-party publisher and move on, which right now they technically are.
Technically, they are. Like literally, they're only two devices away from being a 100% third party, and that's Nintendo and PlayStation. When you think about it, they're only two devices away.
And the mere fact, Puerto Rock, that Phil Spencer, this was like in an interview couple of months ago, about a month ago. He admitted going to Sony and to Nintendo and trying to put Game Pass, approach them about putting Game Pass on it, and they turned him down.
Yes, they turned him down.
They turned him down.
For now. Let's caveat that.
Well, I will say this. Okay. I will say this. I agree.
Now,
go ahead. Go ahead, Jado.
Only for now, because maybe they look at it like you're still in the hardware game. You're still selling hardware. And because you're selling hardware, you're still taking dollars that could go to us. So until you totally 100% exit the hardware market, the answer is no.
Yeah. And not just that, you also got to look at some of the third-party content. Because some of the third-party content that's on Game Pass is also on PlayStation, right? So if a PlayStation owner who plays on PlayStation subscribes to Game Pass, then they're not going to buy those third-party games directly from Sony anymore. It's going to go through Game Pass, right? So the question is, how does that balance? How does Sony get some money besides just 30% of the overall subscription service? You understand what I'm saying? So Sony has to consider that. Like these guys got games on Game Pass that we trying to sell directly to our customers, and that's the big issue. Now, Greg did come out with a good point. What if Microsoft create a Game Pass, but exclusively only their first party or games that is not available on PlayStation? That could work. If Microsoft's willing to go there and create that foundation, that could work. Games that are not on PlayStation, so Sony's not going to make money off these games anyway, I could see that. Yeah. If Microsoft's willing to do something. Let me shout out the chat real quick. Hey, welcome everybody. This is your only friend, these YouTube streets, Puerto Rock 77. And I got the Governor Cuomo of gaming right here on PlayStation Nation. You know what I'm saying? Right here, J-Dub, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Hey, congratulations,
good, everybody. Y'all know what it is, man. We're living in the end days right now of gaming for Xbox. We got the Messiah and the Professor who's been teaching for years and trying to get us to understand what's happening, and we've just been in denial. Even myself, I admit it, man.
Hey, you're gonna get to hear, like always, you'll get to hear J-Dub with none of the 10,000 bots overpowering them. You get to hear 100% clear, concise thought processes from the governor. And then we got the voice of Xbox, Craig, the tech guy. You want to say how you doing, brother?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm here for a short stint. We got to go back in that on the front line tomorrow versus the bug. But appreciate you having me on. Shout out to J-Dub here. Always a pleasure. And shout out to the chat here. The guys on the chat, don't rip the flight sim game. It's I've been playing the flight sim since 1987, so I've been a fan of the flight sim, and it's a huge community. Some of them play DCS. I play DCS, the fighter jet sim. So, but this flight sim game, this and X-Plane are the two best flight sims that are most consistent. So, guys, don't hate them. It's a PC game. Even Jabba Jabba the Ha D-Back said that it is a PC game, and you do need a monster PC to all the graphics, all the things, the pictures you've seen. That's on something called a 2080 Ti and a 2700X CPU. So you have to be balls to the wall with it. So, but it's a fun game. Somebody said, "What are you delivering?" It's just fun to play, and it's a relaxing type of game. So, but it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Right. Hey, so here's a question: do you have the right amount of CUs to run this game?
Yeah.
I don't right now. That's why I'm upgrading my computer.
The audacity for guys to go out there and talk about CUs after we got the mean Craig,
Yeah.
Guys are still out there talking about power.
Have you seen that pillow with that on there?
Yeah, with the Craig. Yep.
Yeah. That pillow, I got to try to get that for my birthday. That's all I can say. I got to try to get that for my birthday.
Yeah.
And that shirt. And it says, "My name is Craig." But yeah, it's unfortunate. Like I say to people, look, if you all think that they spent the reported $500 million on that game for it to be a meme, you got hoeing. You're lying to yourself. That's not why you spend $500 million.
Yeah.
So that you become a joke. But if it makes any difference, that the Russo brothers only spent $355 million of Bob Iger's money to make the Avengers Endgame movie. So that's just for reference point. So the Avengers came out, made $2 billion, and Microsoft gave us a delay, which I think everybody is understanding. Everybody understands. So
I'm not gonna lie, man. That hurts.
Yes. I agree.
I understand they had to do it, but what the hell went wrong? This game cost $500 million of investment, over 1,500 developers for over 5 years, and the best they could give us is something that looks similar to Halo 3 on 12 T-flops with 52 CUs.
You know what? It's good. You know what? That's right. I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about Halo Infinite delayed. So yeah, keep it going. Keep it going. I'm gonna put the picture up on that one.
Yeah, again. What went wrong? Why does Bunny Ross have a job? Why does Phil Spencer have a job? It's almost like these guys are sabotaging themselves. They didn't listen. The X Series X didn't just the next generation didn't just sneak up on them, overnight. Like, oh shit, next generation is here. They knew this day was coming when they dropped the Xbox One X. They knew this day was coming. I don't know. Maybe they should have worked on a remake or a remaster of Halo 5. Maybe they should have. They should have did something, but I don't know. Somebody greenlit it. Whoever greenlit it, whoever watched the showcase prior, should have known that this thing does not show well. It doesn't look good. Textures missing, pop-ins, and all that stuff. And they've been screaming about 12 T-flops, a velocity engine, and all this other shit. And we have yet to see one single game running on the X Series X hardware. It's all been on PC.
Yeah. That's what I don't understand. Your product is about 110 days away from launch, allegedly, and you haven't shown anything on it. I mean, I guess they can show something tomorrow, but it's that to me is. But back to the $500 million. If I saw that and I gave you $500 million, I am beating your ass. I'm not going to fire you. I'm going to beat your ass and I want my money back. That's all I can say. I'll take it out of your ass.
Yeah. Hey, call me Jay. What's up, man? What's going on, y'all? We got a lot of people in the chat. Kevin Mack. We got Dexter, Savage Jr. All you guys, man, hit that like button. We got 161 people watching. Let's at least try to get 100 likes.
Yeah.
Hit that likes because I'm about to go in on Halo Infinite. I'm about to go in on Phil Spencer.
There we go.
I seen some podcasts. You know, this weekend, I'm about to go in. I'm about to unleash hell on this one. Keep it going. Y'all two keep it going because I'm stretching right now. I'm stretching.
And
I got to stretch.
the sad part about it is Aaron Greenberg came out there and said, we're launching the X Series X with over four generations of great content. Man, we've played that shit already. There is not one game from this generation that I want to play again for Xbox One.
Years,
you know, there's a lot of guys who still like the Xbox 360 games, and I'm okay with that. They can play those old games. But from this generation, there's literally no games that stood out. There was no games that that is really worth the damn. So I think this generation here is going to be that lost generation where nobody wants to mention it. It's going to be the dark horse. But I do believe that, man, this generation I think it put that dagger in their chest. I think, you know, for the most part, it was too much damage, and they just don't have the will or the want to try to compete again. So they're doing what they're doing to move over into another lane.
All right. So what were you gonna say? You gonna say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
When you have people like post up on that podcast, I'm getting an echo. When you have people like that literally saying that, yeah, we downplayed the stuff that was on the other platform because we didn't like the fact that we didn't have access to it. I mean, when you're getting sound clips like that from that guy, there's been some come to the Messiah moments. I mean, they have all kneeled down and they all praise Kratos as the one true God. So, and I think it hit them, and how Microsoft isn't doing what they said. Microsoft's doing what they said they're going to do. They're not doing what the fanboys were telling their other people that they were doing. So, which I'm fine with it.
It's to the point now, guys, where it's not necessarily per se like what they said they were going to do. It's they're doing something that's so out of line of what it's so out of character for what corporations that are in the gaming market would do. You know, especially when you're one of the world's richest companies, and you just, I don't know, man. They just they really gave up. But the fan base okayed it. They said it was okay. They were there. You know, Phil Spencer can't do any wrong.
Yeah.
And that was the problem, right? They're still blaming Donnie D. They're still blaming Terry Morrison, but Phil is the untouchable. They say he saved Xbox and he's the Messiah. He brought Xbox back, but look, what does Xbox mean anymore? It's not. They don't care about the console. They already said it. The console is nothing. We don't care. We don't care if it sells. We don't care if we buy it. It's crazy. Hey, is my mic okay? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, we got Magnificent Black that said, J-Dub, fix your mic.
I can hear him. Anybody else have issues? No, he said fix your speakers. Let me
do damage controlling.
Let me do some
damage controlling. What are we
that's Stout. That's my boy Stout. He's always busting my balls. He always does that. Let me do some super chats. We got El Matador. He said we got to talk about Sucker Punch Gods. Definitely, we're gonna hit up that multiplayer. That sudden beautiful surprise of that beautiful multiplayer, accessible. That's a good idea. And Carlos Crespin. Go Red Sox. Man, you better take your $2 back. All right. So I'm about to go in, right?
Did they just get swept? Did the Yankees just sweep them over the weekend?
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Definitely, boy. You know what I'm saying? And while the Houston Asterix, I don't know how they're doing, but that's a different conversation. But let me
Asterix.
Okay. You're there, J-Dub?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I thought the dude did something. Oh, Vedger, he came in with a super chat. He said 4 months left of this gen with COVID-19 and Sucker Punch delivering us a free add-on co-op mode for Ghost of Tsushima. But 343 couldn't deliver a decent Halo Infinite demo with 5 years in development, 1,500 devs and a huge budget. That is true, right? Yeah. And I'm gonna wrap all this up because everybody brought out a great point, right? Here's the problem, right? Phil himself and the people he hired that are working there, right, do not know how to present and come up with a plan to build big blockbuster titles. They don't. All right. The moment they show Halo Infinite during that game, that showcase, the whole world instantly knew the game looked trash. Like, we all saw it. Like, instantly. Like, the moment we saw it, we're like, man, this is looking kind of, all right. We see the classic feel. We're like, okay, we see the classic feel. And then we're like, wait a minute, this shit's looking like trash. When I saw it on my phone, right, I'm thinking, man, you know what? I'm going to put this on my TV because I got a 4K TV in the living room. I'm like, let me just play this on my 4K TV because my phone's, like, I bought a new iPhone SE, right? Right? Literally, like, the day or two prior to that, right? And then I'm looking, you know, because I had to replace my phone. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, maybe the screen's messed up on this phone. I'll change it to Apple later. Let me go on my TV and watch it from there. When I saw it on the TV, I'm like, yup, it ain't the phone. Yo, because when I saw that, I'm like, yo, this thing looks like it's running on 360. Like, instantly. I'm like, yo, this looks terrible.
Yep.
Like, this is butt ugly right now. I'm like, yo.
Nothing screamed
this
next
looks
generation
ugly.
about that at all.
Nothing even screamed this generation. Next. Nothing said that game doesn't. I'm thinking, is this game even running on the Xbox One? Like vanilla. I'm like, yo, this looks like trash. And I'm thinking, how? How is like imagine being in a Microsoft conference room, right? And 343 is like, we're gonna present this tomorrow. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking around like, y'all gonna let this happen? Like, I would be in a room and looking at Phil like, you really gonna let this happen? Like, this is what we're gonna show the world tomorrow. Like this. Like, y'all really good with this. Like, what I'm seeing right now. This is what we're good with. Like, what are you running this on? On a dev kit for 360? No, it's running on PC. I'll be like, bullshit. Bullshit. What you running on? On a fucking X80 1850 from 2009? Like, what are you running this on? Like, what engine is this?
That's what I want to ask J-Dub. Because J-Dub, you're in the business, okay? Imagine you release a suit and you see that, and that is supposed to be running on 12 Navi T-flops with 50s or 52 CUs, like you were just saying. So, like, what do you do if your product gets tested and you see something like that? I mean, don't you? I
would sue Microsoft. Yeah. I'd be like, Microsoft, don't you ever say you running RDNA 2 with that shit.
No, you know what you do? You check the bank account and make sure the check cleared, and you keep moving. you make sure Phil cut that check for them damn CUs and move on. Because listen, think about this, right? When Unreal came and just test demo their engine, their brand new engine, they test demoed it. That's all it was on a PlayStation 5. It looked a million times far superior. That was some next generation looking graphics. Even though it was a demo, it just showed you what was capable of a real quick and dirty demo. Now imagine, right, with some of Sony's talented developers getting their hands on the Unreal Engine 5 demo or their own demo, right, or their own engines, the Decima engine and stuff like that. Microsoft has 12 T-flops. It has all of the stuff, all the tech that you can throw in there, right? All the velocity engine, all the stuff that the guys hype up on a day-to-day basis. And they couldn't make their game look like a decent Xbox One game. And that's the problem, man. Even Digital Foundry said, this is crazy. We've never seen anything like this.
Here's what blows my mind too, right? Here's what blows my mind. They're giving Phil credit, 343 credit, a good decision, delaying the game. It needed delay. And I'm thinking, that's not a good decision. It's the obvious decision. Like, that's like saying, you know, you walk in a house, right? That's like, this is Phil Spencer in a nutshell. Phil Spencer owns a house. He walks in the house. He smells gas. So he checks the oven. There's a gas leak. What is he supposed to do is he's supposed to turn off the gas valve, call the gas company. That's what you're supposed to do. But what he ended up doing was he decided to go back to the living room, sit down, and he lit a cigar. Now the house blew up. Phil calls the fire department and then the insurance, and now they're giving him credit for calling the fire department insurance. No, motherfucker. Calling the fire department is obvious. The house blew the fuck up. What else you gonna do? right? And now that you got no house, you call your home insurance. That's goddamn obvious. What you should have done was turn the gas valve off. That's what you were supposed to do. When Phil sat down and 343 showed that, he should have been like, hell no. No, that ain't happening. In fact, who's the one, like, you seen Tropic Thunder? You know that movie Tropical Thunder? Right? Is it Tropical Thunder or Tropical Lightning? What was the name of that movie? Tropic Thunder.
Tropical Thunder, yeah, Tropical Thunder.
When Tom Cruise played the CEO exec, he's like, hey, who's the grip hand? He goes, you, punch him in the face.
Yeah, he punched him straight.
Yeah, that's what Phil's supposed to do. Like, who said this was a good idea? Oh, I did. You punch him in the face. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what should have happened. The dude should have got punched in the face. Phil should have been swinging, punching people, and then said, hey, here's your service package. Get the F out. You're fired. Who's next? Yeah. Like, who's the supervisor that was supposed to watch this? Oh, that was me. You're fired. Hey, no, wait. You can't get fired yet. No, you're not fired yet. Hey, punch him in the face. Bow. Yeah. Now you're fired.
Yeah, who brought you coffee? Who you all stand up on this? Who brought the coffee? Well, she did. You're fired.
Like,
everybody's getting
Puerto Rock. But that's why I said Microsoft's biggest problem, right? Besides Phil Spencer, because I'm not a big fan of his. I think he should have been fired with Dunny D. That's just me. Their biggest problem is quality control. There is nobody, obviously, at Microsoft that just goes around, test these games, see what the status of the project and stuff. Because these problems happen way before Halo. It happened It happened at Crackdown. It happened prior to Crackdown. It happened at Scalebound. This goes way back.
Yo, at this point, you cannot play Donnie D on this one. Absolutely. He has nothing to do with this.
Hey, in Puerto Rico, when you bring that up, right?
Yeah.
These guys want to say, well, Phil was dealt a bad hand back then when Dunny D messed up, and then it took him years to get a seat at the table with Satya Nadella, and all of these excuses, man. And it's like, look, we're in 2020. You're going into a next generation. If they would have came out and they would have been showing everything fine, perfect, everything been going good for next generation. Yeah. I would have said, okay, fine. Let bygones be bygones. Last generation, okay, fine.
Yeah, maybe it was the Xbox One curse. Okay.
Exactly. But you know, we are.
This shit's looking worse. This shit's looking worse.
We are 3 months away from these consoles launching, and you've already fumbled 20 times. It started last E3. They had E3 to themselves and they fumbled. Yeah. All of these shows, right? Just wait to the third party event we're gonna have. They show that flopped. Then here it is, July the 23rd. Oh, just wait. This is when we're showing our first party. We're gonna show you guys, and what happened? That flopped. And then now Halo, your biggest IP, with the whole thing the whole next generation rest on this game being your launch title. And you flub that. So there is no more wait. There is no more E3. There is no more, well, wait, right? This Halo game is going to probably be delayed until next year around this time.
I honestly think
let's face it.
I think it's a 2022 game. I don't think it's coming out next year.
Yeah, it's possible.
The way it sounds like it's a disaster right now.
Yeah.
Like, they don't like, supposedly, shout out to Optimus Code. Of course, he says take it with a grain of salt, but he's talking to some people, and like he said, the development, because they had to make it for Xbox One, but to take advantage of Xbox Series X, they had to do a different build. But the build, the way the game is, still has to match because they play together. It's just all types of mess. It's just all types of mess right now. And right now, they're trying to think of the way forward. Now, in my mind, if you're trying to think of a new way forward, you're not going to get that done in a year and have it launched next year. You're going to need more time than that because you're probably doing a lot of changes. And they're stuck because it has to come out on Xbox One. They're stuck on that. They're stuck with Xbox One unless they make the decision. Like, the right decision, as much backlash they'll get, the right decision is, ladies and gentlemen, due to the design and the advancements of next-gen technology, Halo will no longer be coming out on Xbox One, Xbox One X. The game is too advanced. It has to take advantage of Xbox Series X technology. That is the only way we can properly make this game. And that's it. Bite the bullet.
No argument for me.
I agree, but here's the thing, Puerto Rock. When we've been saying for over a year that the current gen is going to hold back next generation if you keep supporting it, these guys, they yelled at us, they screamed at us, talking about no, Microsoft has this scaling technology. It's going to be able to scale up and down from PC to Series X and all the way down. And now, look what happened. And now, Digital Foundry comes out and said, no, they got a dead current generation. They can't move forward with the X Series X while carrying around 1.3T flops, the OG Xbox One with the Kinect. You can't possibly do it. And so 500 developers, you know, I mean, $500 million and 1,500 developers was not enough, right? Somebody should be shot. I feel like somebody has to take the bullet for that.
Yeah, it's a punch in the face.
Somebody made this decision, and that's such an epic failure of a decision, right? These developers, you know, should have been saying, hey, look, it's going to take a lot of time, resources. We can't make 2 versions of the game. And if we do this, and I don't know, man, somebody made that decision. Whoever made that decision, they have to live with this. This is billion. This cost the company billions of dollars. Because guess what? Now there's a lot of guys, Xbox guys, that were going to pick up an X Series X or an X Series S at launch for Halo. Now they have nothing coming for at least a year.
Yeah.
For at least a year. So guess what? They're saying, look, we're going to go ahead and pick up a PlayStation 5 day one. Well, we want to play Spider-Man in some of those games. And whenever Halo get working and whenever the other games, you know, Obsidian and all those other guys come with their games, then we'll pick up one. That, you know, and it seems like Phil Spencer doesn't care. He's like, he keeps going on these interviews. You know, he goes in on Animal Crossing on Nintendo platform, and he's praising, you know, their exclusives. But it's like, how can you praise the exclusives for another platform? But then when people ask you about exclusive on your platform, and you say, well, that's really anti-consumer. That's not what we really want to do. We don't want to, you know, that's like, I don't understand this. Like in any other world, man, the person would have been flogged and hanged and shot.
Tarred and feathered.
Exactly. This is bad, right? But I have to understand, right? This is happening without me. Without my input, it's going to happen. With my input, it's going to happen. I think Xbox gamers will eventually, little by little, like myself, are going to have to come to terms with that. If they're sitting around thinking, well, you know what? These big blockbuster AAA games are going to come because they invested in 15, 16, 17, 18 studios. Just look at the studios that they bought. They're smaller studios. They're not big AAA. Yeah. They might have tossed out a few nuggets here and then, but those are small games. Yeah. Like Wasteland, right? It may review very well, but those are small games. And those games have been on PC. Those are smaller games. They don't sell millions of copies of the games. You know, Phil and them bought these studios for like, you know, $2 to $3, $4, $5 million. Yeah. Sony bought Insomniac for like what, $220 million, $250 million. Yeah. That's a big purchase. That's big AAA. Yeah. Not $10 million, not $5 million. Yeah. And you can buy 20 of those $5 million studios, and you probably still won't crank out anything on the level as Insomniac or Guerrilla Games or Naughty Dog or any of those other Sony studios.
Yeah.
And Matt Booty is in the interview. I post a video all the time, him saying, look, we bought these studios. We bought the indie and the AA studios, and we're going to get them to crank out games that's on par with AAA, but not with the AAA budget. We're going to try to push them as far as possible to give you that quality. But, you know, again, you're not spending the money. And you're going to have your AAA stuff, and that's going to be the third-party games, and that's going to be Halo, Gears, and Forza.
Yeah. Craig,
go ahead, you know, and that's just what it is, man.
Yeah. Craig, how many times we got flack for telling everybody to cut the current gen and make sure you build next gen exclusives? How many times we told them that and they came back with damage control? Everything scales.
That's that I've realized is that when the developers are telling you that it's going to be an issue, then it's going to be an issue. End of discussion. It doesn't matter what the fanboys say. Doesn't matter. I saw one YouTuber say he got something from Microsoft today dealing with Battletoads. Well, now you know why to do damage controls all the time, because he is working with Microsoft. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's the scaling is difficult. I mean, I'm not a developer. If a developer tells me it is, it is. It is what it is. So Sony was called anti-consumer. Again, if Sony had come out when they showed both those consoles, when they unveiled what the console looked like, if one had come in and said one was 7.8 T-flops and the other one was the 10.3 T-flops that we're getting, they would have the same problem too. Okay, because the developers are like, well, we're just going to code to this lower common denominator, and then we will try to move different assets into your higher one. That's why a lot of third-party developers are like, well, we can give you 1440p, but we're not going to go balls to the wall. Why are their first-party developers able to do 1800p? It's because they're taking much more time. But yeah, we caught flack. We were damage controlling. Sony was anti-consumer, and they were cutting people off. And it's kind of like, well, Microsoft did this at the beginning of the generation. You couldn't play Rise Son of Rome on the 360 if you had the Forza 1, 2, 3, and 4. Forza 5, I believe, only came out for the Xbox One. So it's just they did it too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, and maybe Killer Instinct. I'm not for sure about Killer Instinct. So it's just, I have learned that these guys I just shrug my shoulders at this point. It's not even, they're just desperate at this point. They're desperate. So I just kind of shrug my shoulders like, all right, it is what it is. Sony did the right thing. You want the developers to concentrate on one thing. They can cope with the games. If you buy the digital version of the PS5, it's going to look just like the disc version because they got the exact same specs. So yeah. I admire Microsoft for wanting to bring everybody along, but it should have just been no. They should have given some DLC for what was that other game everybody played? I'll finish with this: Assassin's Creed. What Ubisoft did at the beginning of the generation, Assassin's Creed Unity was only on the next gen, I believe. And then Assassin's Creed, I think it was Rogue. That was for the PS4 and maybe the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they just won't do that. Just, hey, give Halo 5, say, here's some more maps, here's, maybe some DLC if you want to continue. And that's going to be totally separate if you guys stay in that ecosystem. But the Halo Infinite, you do have to go buy this new console to get that, and that would have worked too. That would have worked, But it is what, like J-Dub said, I'm just shrugging my shoulders at this point. Like, it's whatever.
Yeah,
you gotta let a hoe be a hoe.
Shout out to J Hart. J Hart with Super. He says MS bought a ton of mid studios for more mid games. And you know what? That would be fine if they're big studios produce big stuff, but when I look at it, they don't have a big studio anymore, other than maybe Turn 10 for the racing game.
True.
Because even Gears now kind of like, I remember the days when Gears used to be compared to Uncharted for like the big titles. No one does that anymore. Like, who's gonna even try to compare Gears 5 with with Uncharted 4 or The Last of Us? You would get laughed at, Now, so in the midst of all this nonsense, we got this dude. What's his name? Dust Golem. That nonsense. Yeah, he was the one that said that he heard PlayStation struggling with 1080p 60.
Yeah.
Like
and they got him. They got him. Forced. Yeah.
And that's crazy. And this is one of his damage control. This is from him. He said, I think console warring is really stupid. The reason I shared them initially is I felt things were two-sided, despite knowing some accounts of what was about to happen. In some ways, I do regret speaking out, but also it's reiterated my own reasons for sharing things. So he supposedly shared information because things were two-sided. Like, really? You expect people to believe PlayStation 5 is having issues with 1080p 60? Yet you're the same group that called Xbox One X uncompromised 4K.
Yep.
Come on.
After we've already seen stuff running on PlayStation 5.
Like
we've already seen stuff running on PlayStation 5.
Like, these dudes are resorting to lying, and I don't understand why. Like, maybe, like, I asked this question when I did my solo thing last week, but maybe you guys can help me. At what point did these dudes think they have the power to influence people to sell and buy consoles. When did this happen? Like, when did they think they had that level of power?
Yeah.
Was displayed. That's when everything changed. I really, honestly, I don't try to fanboy about it anymore. Look at all the momentum Microsoft had. J-Dub has brought this up multiple times. They had all this momentum, and then Jeff Keighley sits down and says, well, makes his announcement, Epic is going to be unveiling something new tomorrow, and then they sit down and say, oh, this is all on a PS5, and we see what we see. And then we get updates on it as far as, Epic has come out and said that game could have ran at 60 frames a second with 8K textures at, with 1440p native. Now, when everybody saw that game, and let's guys don't lie, we all thought that game was in 4K, like native resolution. It's not. That is a 1440p game up, with 8K textures on it. So, like, all the way through, not like, and there was no pop-in. I still can't believe, like, I love the way people make things. I would love to see how they even just make stuff like that. But that's when it changed. But, again, shout out to Enrique with Brad when he had J-Dub on, the governor here, and that super chat came in and said, these guys are afraid of a one console future. So if you're motivated by fear, you're going to lie. That's the truth. That's human nature, unfortunately. Like he said, I felt everything was two-sided. Microsoft got terrible news with the Halo delay, and as soon as they got bad news within 24 hours, Sony's got a problem.
Well,
trying to shift it.
The good thing about it, Craig, is they got rid of that guy. They kicked him out of the forum, banned him and stuff. And I don't know, man. It's embarrassing more than anything. And you can't win by trying to discredit your competition, right? You can't win. You see people are begging and asking every day to pre-order a PlayStation 5. You don't see anyone asking or begging to pre-order an X Series X. And the guys went back to the power narrative. It was about a week or two after they showed Halo. They took their lumps, and now they're back to power. That whole week after they showed Craig, they never said it. They didn't mention power or the CUs or nothing because they knew right then and there it wouldn't have mattered.
It's over, though, because I've actually seen games running on the PS5, and I've seen that Unreal demo, which to this day, I mean, if you showed that on anywhere, on a Sony 4K TV, a Samsung 4K TV, it looks like a friggin' movie. Yeah. It literally looks like a movie. It's just like Jesus.
Yeah, but that case, right, that goes back to, it's like after Halo, bad news and everything, after it got delayed or whatever, they had to do something to stop the bleeding. So all these guys, whether they're insider or not, went on a damage control campaign to try to smear PS5. This, like what Puerto Rock have on the screen right now, this Wing Wild guy goes up and makes up some shit about Quantum Error, which is a PlayStation exclusive, timed exclusive probably. It's a court. He said, "Oh, it's just a corridor shooter. It's struggling to get 4K 30 on PS5. It's trying to get 4K, which means downgrade. It's et cetera to optimize to run on PS5."
And let me push up what the dev said.
Yep.
I'll scroll it up.
Push it on up. Let's take a look from the developer's
own actual developer. Straight from the developer.
Yeah. So can you imagine if you're a developer working on this game and you see somebody spouting some shit like that?
Because the problem is you're not just bashing the PS5, that Nimrod, that dumbass. You're insulting the people that work on his game.
Yes. They take that personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said. Yeah. So he says, not sure where this quote come from, but it didn't come from us. Quantum Error currently running at 4K 65 through 70 frames per second. Unoptimized. We haven't even optimized it yet.
Yep.
We will be hitting our goal of 4K 60 frames a second. By the way, that's with ray tracing.
Yep.
This game is ray traced. Yes. And there will be more than just corridors. LOL. So the guy's laughing at the guy. He clearly got owned. Yes. And the guy disappeared, never to be heard from ever again. And obviously I did what I did. I took that and clowned the guy. And
Governor Cuomo.
yeah. But it's crazy though, because that And the other thing with the fake insider happened in the same day, Puerto Rock. There was 2 huge L's in the same day. Guys in the forums or on Twitter just trying to damage control. And these guys are still saying, well, we're going to have the better running version of the multiplat. And my whole theory with that, right, is you got to wait and see.
Yeah. Basically,
now, if you're counting the specs on paper, then let that be that. But when Sony came out, when the news came out that Sony had a duffel bag of money going to every single third-party developer to try to buy exclusive content, marketing deals, timed exclusives, and everything else, and they basically threw the money at these developers, and it came back that Microsoft tried to do the same thing, but Microsoft wasn't willing to spend the money that Sony was. So basically, Sony got outbid by. Microsoft got outbid by Sony, and so all of those third-party developers that you're counting on to run the games better on the X Series X, you have to question that. If Sony walks in with a bag of money, with a bag of millions, and throw it at you, you think your game is going to be running better on the Xbox? Like, come on. Like, I just think about it, right? Now, if we go back to the Xbox One X and go back to the PS4 Pro, people are going to bring up Red Dead, right? That's the one game where you see a substantial difference, right? And there's maybe 1 or 2 others. It's not, and there are some games that run and look better on the Pro.
Remember what happened in Resident Evil 3?
Right?
Remember what happened in Resident Evil 3?
Yep. Call of Duty?
Yeah. It was locked at 60 the first month. Yeah. Call of Duty, yeah.
Yep. So you got to think about it, right? Microsoft had the marketing deal with Red Dead. You got to think like Sony had to deal with Call of Duty, with Resident Evil. Like, I'm just saying, right? I'm not saying that you're paying these guys to gimp a system. I'm just saying for you to walk out on that ledge and just know and just say, without a doubt, our games are going to look better on our system than the PlayStation 5. I would only say that, hey, you can only count on your first party people to do that.
Yeah.
If you're first party, like, I will pit any first party Sony developer against any third party studio or any first party Microsoft studio. I'll do that 10 days out of the week. But I would not do that with Microsoft first party, and I wouldn't do that with third party, because we've seen some third party, they just get lazy. They get lazy, and then they don't. And we see games, right? We know for a fact it should be running at 60 or running at lock 30 or something like that, and it's just lazy. There's no reason for them to do it. We see it all the time, and a lot of times they'll say, "Yeah, we'll just patch it post. We'll just patch it later on." They get like that, but. I don't know. It didn't work for them. It didn't work for them with the Xbox One X, and they're using the same playbook. They're using the same stuff, and it's like, guys, if you hadn't learned by now, it's all about the games. You're never gonna get it. You're never gonna get it.
The power narrative on console, it felt so much, right? That the one console, they discontinued it. The Xbox One X is discontinued. They're not making it no more, right? But they're still making the One S.
Yep.
If that doesn't tell you, but the Pro is still kicking. Sony's still making the Pro. It's still being sold
out.
Right?
Yep.
Is it really?
Yes, they didn't. Sony didn't discontinue the Pro. That's still selling.
Let's get the book clear here. Sony did start choking down production of them, but I didn't know they were selling out. So that's fine. I'm not questioning it. It's just like, wow, that thing's still selling out. It came out in 2016?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Pro is older. It's an older system.
You got to think about it too, right? With this whole coronavirus, there's a lot of people at home. So of course, a lot of the consoles got sold out. The Switch, like, is consistently sold out. The Pro is consistently sold out. You can probably find some Xboxes here and there, some S's and some X's, but that's a good problem to have. And I'm pretty sure, Sony's not, their full production is not still on 100% with the Pro. And so I'll give you that, Craig. But the mere fact that these systems are still selling, when we're 3 months from having a new next generation console, that's generally right before a next generation console, you see a deep dive
in purchase of the previous gen console. I mean, the current gen console.
I guarantee even after the I guarantee
agree.
even after the PS5 launches, Sony will still sell the Slim and the Pro. That still will be maybe for like a good another 2 years. Those models will still be fall.
Porter Rock. The Pro is still $399, brother.
Yeah,
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I never seen that. That's like Nintendo.
So guess what?
That's like shit
Holiday
Nintendo
time
does.
come out. They're gonna drop the price of the Pro, maybe by $100. Sell it for $299. Then the Slim is probably gonna sell for $199. And then you're gonna have the PS5 for probably $499. There you go, right there. You know, maybe $449 for the digital, and then maybe $499 for the.
I honestly think the digital is gonna be. Let me do a super chat. Mel Sensitivity. He said Microsoft has a management problem. I don't know what it will take for them to finally get it right. We don't either. We honestly don't. And the fans, like the true whatever, like the hardcore guys, the guys who cap for Microsoft. They just do anything that Microsoft agrees with. They won't actually steer them in the right direction, or at least be honest with how they feel. Like Microsoft could put out shit on a stick, and they're gonna think it's the greatest thing ever. I mean, they got these dude camping for PC when they've been telling me for the last year they're console only gamers. Now they're hyping up Steam numbers. They're congratulating Microsoft on a game they can't even play because it's only available on PC. You know, Microsoft cuts the annual $60 gold subscription, so now you only have $100 and $120 versions available, yet it's still free on PC. Like, yo, this is crazy. Like, and they don't say anything. Like they just roll with the punches.
And put and that's why Xbox is in the shape it's in, right? After them showing Halo, you thought that the guys would ride it, right? And they didn't. they just went back to, it's okay. We got 4 generations of games we can play on the X Series X at launch. You know, we're gonna be able to play 360 games and Xbox One games at 120 frames a second. You know, we'll be okay. We'll just play we'll play Bleeding Edge and Grounded, and we'll just be happy with it. And that's bananas, because Sony hadn't even came out and really mashed the gas yet. I mean, you haven't seen anything yet. We're hearing rumors right now that Sony has 2 exclusive IPs that are from their previous generation games, and they're huge. This is just a rumor. And Jeff Grubb and what's the Benji Sales and some others are coming out confirming a lot of stuff, saying that your jaws are going to drop when you see what they got. Supposedly this exclusive deal, they spent $750 million on this one exclusive deal, and you got to wonder, how big of a game?
Yo, almost $1 billion.
Does it have to be, right? And
it has to be like Grand Theft Auto level type.
Everyone is assuming it's Grand Theft Auto 6, even if it's a year exclusive. Let's say it's three months exclusive. That's huge.
If it's a
company that's going broke, right? A company that don't have Microsoft money, don't have, they're going broke. All these bots are always saying Sony's going broke. And yet Sony is out there outspending. Sony, is trying to buy? What's the video? The video company? They do like a lot of anime.
The Crunchyroll, something like that.
Crunchyroll. They're trying to buy Crunchyroll for like $1.2 billion.
Yeah.
But this company's going broke. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Like, I don't know, man. Like,
I think
go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick. They get Microsoft proper mixed up with Xbox, which is a division. But Sony's division of PlayStation makes more money than the Xbox division does. It always has.
Oh yeah.
So I just don't. But they always revert back to say, "Well, Microsoft has this." Like, no, they're a division, and that division gets a budget. Yeah. Okay, and there's not a doubt in my mind that Satya Nadella cut that budget. That's why Matt Booty said we're going to buy AA games to try to give you a AAA feel, and he brought up Hellblade. Like J-Dub was alluding to that earlier. That's what he meant. I mean, if you play the original Hellblade, it's a smaller game, but it does feel bigger. Like it could have been bigger. There was more there. So that's no take. That game only cost them like what 18 million or something like that. So to make it was a lower budget game, great game, but at the end of the day, Xbox has been, to me, when Phil Spencer came out and said, don't buy the damn console, or it doesn't matter if you buy the console or not. Yeah. When he says that we're bound out of the console war because we're doing something else, even that girl that talks like she's from Mario. Yeah. Now the look she had on her face when she said that somebody showed her something that it was going to cost like $600. The look on her face, like it looked like she like walked in and caught her dude with some other chick. Because it's the look on her face is like, oh.
Listen, and Craig, she wasn't the only person that had reported hearing that exact same thing. It may be right, and I know bots are damage controlling, right? They don't want to hear $5.99. Yeah. Sony damn sure don't want to go that route, right? Yeah. They took their lumps for that. But maybe that's another reason why the Lockhart is there. Because they're prepping these guys for a high-end premium product. Exactly. 12 T-flops and SSD and all this stuff. They're prepping them for that, and they're just going to tell you, well, look, we got a $300, maybe a $350 console here that's really for you. It can do 1080p and give you the 60 frames and the stuff that you guys want. But again, maybe that's why Phil Spencer is going out here saying, you know what, we don't really care if you buy the X Series X.
It's like okay. A GPU. If you don't want to pay a 2080 Ti price, then you get, like a 2070, 2060. That's the same logic. Sure. Chocolate Dream Stream with a €2. He said 750 million truly believe it's a GTA 6 deal for PS5. If it's that much, it has to be that. It has to be that. Yeah. I can't see any other game that's worth that much. And the question is what type of deal they would do. Like let's say if Sony, let's say Sony locks out the online multiplayer for like 6 months, exclusively on PlayStation for 6 months. That's huge. That's huge. DLC. Yeah, that's huge because
Xbox did this with the 360 with Grand Theft Auto 4 because Battle of Gay Tony and Lost and Damned, that was exclusive. I can't remember if it was 6 months or a year.
For a year.
So, but it was exclusive. It was a year. Okay, yeah, but yeah. So this to me, if this is true,
and that was just $50 million. That was $50 million.
Yeah, that was 50 stacks. So that's what I'm saying. It could be hell 700. That's what I'm saying. I know that's a reported amount and people are speculating it's Grand Theft Auto. I personally think that number it was for the exclusives on a lot of stuff because they walked around with a bag of yay.
So you think it's 750? You think it's total? You think it's total?
The report said, right? The report said not only did they walk around to every single third-party publisher, but they secured an exclusive the exclusive deal that is going to shock everybody. There is no other, there is no other game out there that's really just going to shock everybody like that. You see what I'm saying? What other game could it be? No, let's face it. Grand Theft Auto is the biggest game fucking in history. Let's face it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're not gonna argue out of me. Yeah.
There's it is what it is, right? If Sony went and spent $750 million for Zoo Tycoon, come on, what are we doing?
It was for Bug Snacks.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, they spent $250 million on Insomniac, and it was able to crank out, Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man at the same time. So, $750 million. That means we don't want a studio. We want to buy these exclusive rights to this particular game for a length of time, and that's going to be bananas. And listen, that shouldn't shock anybody. What did Sony do recently, right? What did they do recently to tell you what they're trying to do? Yeah. Look at Avengers game. Sony spent a bag of money to get Spider-Man inside that game exclusively on their platform. Sony they're telling you, we care about our platform. We want you to buy our platform, and we want you to switch over from the PlayStation 4 as soon as possible. This is why we're giving you reasons to do that. You got your Spider-Man. We got your, I mean, come on. You can't get any bigger than comic characters, right? That's a hot ticket right now. The Marvel is the hot ticket. And now the rumors about this new Batman game. Can you just imagine how people are gonna fucking go crazy if it's a Batman deal?
Oh, what's the rumor?
And let me report now.
What's the rumor?
The DC thing is happening either Thursday or Friday.
Oh,
there's
the fandom.
Their fandom, and there's some big news apparently about to come out. I think Henry Cavill is re-signed to play Superman.
Oh yeah, he is. He already said that.
A leak out, but they're claiming something else. They're saying that there's something else about to be announced. Yeah. So we're gonna find something out this week, guys. I think when it comes to this whole Batman thing. So, but man, can you imagine if they did buy that? I'm not a Batman fan, but I'd be on the floor laughing. Like somebody would have to come to my house and pick.
But you got to think about it though. Sony had the marketing deal with the previous Batman game. Yeah. They had that silver theme console. So this is not out of the realm of what Sony's going to do. Now I got some new news since we're talking about the price of the X Series X.
Go ahead.
It said this comes from the breakdown that they did detailing the hardware and the chips and all that stuff. I think it was called Hot Chips or something like that.
Yeah.
It says other highlights worth mentioning are the manufacturing process, confirmed to be based on TSMC's 7-nanometer enhanced process, and the fact that the whole system on a chip Xbox Series X die costs more than that of the Xbox One X. This leaves us with two options. Either the Xbox Series X will cost more than the Xbox One X did, which was $499 when it launched 3 years ago, or Microsoft is going to sell the console at a huge loss. We'll know soon. Now, do you really think that this company is going to sell their console at a huge loss when they're telling you we don't care if you buy it or not? That just doesn't really make sense, right?
Nope. The best way to offset that,
take a loss and then go out there and say, you know what? Yeah, we really don't care if you buy it or not. I mean, just don't care if you buy a PlayStation or Switch or the S or whatever. Just play games. That wouldn't be their strategy. Their strategy would have been, hey, look, this thing is going to be in line with what we traditionally did. It's going to be great price. It's going to be cheap for consumers. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. Yeah. That is not what they're telling you. That's not the message they're sending you.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that this system has the capability of being $599.
Yeah.
And guess what? We're already saying we're not competing with PlayStation 5. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're telling you this like every day. This is Phil Spencer's own words, not me, right? Not me, but them. Consistently, just get on Twitter, go on these interviews. Phil Spencer is saying this stuff. Mm-hmm. So, that's something that the gamers going to have to take up with him if they have an issue with that. So I can easily see the PlayStation 5 being $499 and the Series X being $599. Now, here's the thing. You wanted the T-flops. You wanted the power, right? You wanted that 1.7 T-flops extra. Now, are you willing to pay for it?
Mm-hmm. There you go. So I mean, a lot of these prices could be adjusted, and we don't know. But we can't rule out the realm of possibility of the Xbox Series X being $599. Again, it has powerful hardware, which the hardcore is asking for. It isn't the casuals. The casuals ain't asking for the very best versions of multiplats, right? Usually the casuals wait for price drops. They wait 2 or 3 years. They're not there day one buying these consoles. So it's the hardcore, right? And the hardcore, they say, hey, we buy consoles and we want the best version, right? So Microsoft knows these guys will buy the console at $599, right? Now, for the casuals or for those who aren't willing to pay the price, but they still want a new Xbox, that's where the Xbox Series S comes into play. That's where Lockout comes to play. And I personally think that's the reason why Microsoft made it. There is no other reason to make it unless the Series X is an expensive product and they know it will be out of reach to a lot of consumers. But they don't want to block out those consumers with a price point. So release like a $300 or $350 Series S. It's a brand new Xbox, right? It uses the latest technology, right? It won't be graphically up to par to the Series X, but most of those people won't care. They just want a new Xbox, a new console, a new platform at a good price. And that's what the Series X will deliver. So I have a feeling that the Series X will be $599 as well. And the alternate, the selling point or whatever, not even selling point, but the discussion Microsoft will push is the Series X is a premium, world's most powerful console, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason why it costs so much. You know, for the more conscious price consumer, you have the Series S, and that's how they're gonna sell it to you. That's what I think Microsoft's gonna do. You know, a lot of people are gonna have a heart attack, which I cannot wait to see those tweets, right? Because those are the same people that say console sales don't matter. So I'm gonna be like, why are you worried? Why are you so angry and worried about that? You know, the Series X is not gonna sell $599. You guys said console sales don't matter. That the only thing that matters is that you get a console that plays the best version of multiplats. Well, there you go. Pay $599 and get the best version of console multiplats. That's what you want, kid. That's what you get. Why are you worried about other people not buying it? You know what I'm saying? It's all trash, man. It's all shit talking and stuff like that. I agree. Okay. So one last thing I want to bring up, two last things before that. So we all know, like we said, JW read it, that the developer said that their game is currently, Quantum Error is currently running at 4K, 65 to 70 frames per second, unoptimized. Here's my question to you. Why is nobody in the Xbox community talking about it? Given the fact that they were having heart attacks over 30 frames.
I agree.
Right? Their big thing was, we don't want to play 30 frames, and these games are all going to come out 30 frames. Well, we got a dev confirming 70 frames unoptimized, which is a good sign, because if they could do it, many other people... And he also said we're going to have more than corridors. So it's not even a corridor thing, right? So if they can do it, how many more developers are going through the same thing where their games are already running above 60 frames unoptimized, so they're going to hit those 4K 60 targets. Yet nobody's talking about it. Why? Yeah. Why is it dead silence from all the tech guys? Not one video from those tech guys.
Let's face it, man. It's clearly right. Huge damage control. It's huge. The guys really don't give it. They really don't care, right? They really don't. They use that for an excuse to downplay Sony and to downplay what they normally do. So this is why you can't listen to these guys. They're huge hypocrites. That's it. They're just huge hypocrites.
Excellent. All right. So the final point, Ghost of Tsushima, right? Huge surprise, right? Huge surprise. They recently announced Ghost of Tsushima Legends. Let me look at the article. But apparently it's a 4-player co-op mode, right? And it will add also raids to it. Tell me that's not insane. Here we go. Let me get this article. I'll read it to everybody out loud. It says Ghost of Tsushima Legends coming to PS4 fall of 2020. And it says first details on this new co-op multiplayer mode inspired by Japanese mythology. And from Darren Bridges, senior game designer, Sucker Punch Productions. Today, I am very excited to reveal Ghost of Tsushima Legends, a new online cooperative multiplayer mode that will come as a free download for Ghost of Tsushima owners on PS4 later this year. Legends is an entirely new experience. It is a separate mode that doesn't follow Jin or the companions from his journey, but instead focuses on 4 warriors who have been built up as legends in stories told by the people of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima's single-player campaign focuses on an open world and exploring the natural beauty of the island. But Legends is haunting and fantastical with locations and enemies inspired by Japanese folktales and mythology and an emphasis on cooperative combat and action. We designed Legends to be an exclusively cooperative gameplay experience. You'll be able to partner up with friends or via online matchmaking and play Legends in groups of 2 to 4 players. Each player can choose from one of the 4 different character classes: the samurai, hunter, ronin, or assassin. Each class has unique advantages and abilities that will reveal in the future. With 2 players in Ghost of Tsushima Legends, you'll be able to play a series of co-op story missions that escalate in difficulty, building on the foundation of combat from the single-player campaign, but with new magical twists that often require careful synchronization with your partner. With 4 players, you'll be able to take on the wave-based survival missions, fighting groups of the toughest enemies Tsushima has to offer, including new Oni enemies with supernatural abilities. If you can best the story and survival missions, you may be confident enough to take on the 4-player raid that will arrive shortly after the launch of Ghost of Tsushima Legends, sending you and your partners to an entirely new realm to challenge a brutal, terrifying enemy. It's been so rewarding to see the amazing reactions from all of you as you play through Ghost of Tsushima. We've been watching so many of you stream your playthroughs, and we can't wait to open up this new way for all of us to play together. We're happy to offer this mode completely free to Ghost of Tsushima owners as a thank you to our players, and we look forward to hearing what you think. We'll have much more to share on Legends as we get closer to launch, including details on character classes, customizations, more. Thank you to everyone who support Ghost of Tsushima so far. Now, let me ask you this. This was a surprise out of the blue, right? Right? Because they could have had. This is not like a last minute decision, right? This was something they already planned, right? And they could have said, "Hey, this is part of the game." No, they made sure it was right. They just focused on the single player. People love the single player, and now the game's almost ready for multiplayer to come out. So now you're not gonna get none of the backlash, right? The thing I like about this, number one, no one could talk trash about the single player, right?
Exactly.
Nobody could be like, "Oh, this is gonna ruin the single player. This is bullshit." Like, you get no negativity. They kept it to themselves. They're like, you know what?
On. Oh, it's a tacked on.
Oh, it's tacked on. It's tacked on. Like, they're trying to make the game tacked on because it's a single player one and done. Nope. They let the game do what it does on its own merit, right? And then after a month or whatever, they're like, "Hey, we're giving y'all a multiplayer, and if you both go to Tsushima, you're gonna get it. You're gonna straight up download it. And you're going to enjoy it, right? That's amazing. You know what I'm saying? That's what Sony does. Now, Sucker Punch went through COVID.
Yep.
Just like Craig said. And look,
they didn't make an excuse.
No.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lionel B. He said, for some reason, I don't think Sony can sell the PS5 as 500 or 600. The best way to move everyone over to PS5 fast is 400, 500. I think a 500, 600 would be a huge disappointment. I agree. I agree. And I think it could slow down sales. It'll slow down potential, right?
Okay, I'll say this about that, right? I kind of disagree with him on that. I get it. The higher the price, the less amount of people that's gonna be willing to come over. But we have to understand that the typical casual. Yeah. The bulk of the casuals don't buy consoles until that price comes down to $299, $250. True. That's when the bulk of the people come over. The hardcore is going to buy it at $499. And you got to realize this particular generation is crazy because Sony has averaged $20 million per year. I mean, 20 million consoles sold per year. Yeah. So that's bananas. Yeah. I don't think they have to launch the price at $299 in order to get a bunch of people to come over. No. I think what they do have to do is the number one requirement. You gotta have the games. The games bring people over, not necessarily the price. The people that are price conscious, those are the guys that's going to continue to buy the Pro and the Slim for years down the line. It's always happening.
Or they're just going to stay on their console already for another good 2-3 years until the price comes out.
Exactly. You can't go chasing for those guys day one. That's never, or year one or year two. That never happens. It doesn't matter what price. Look at the Switch, right? The system is still selling for $299, and it's consistently sold out. Yeah. So the same with the Pro. It's still $399. We're 6 years into this generation, going on 7 years into this generation. It's been out since 2016, so it's been on the market for roughly 3 years, going on 4 years. Yeah. And that thing is still $399. They hadn't even had one single price cut on it yet. Oh. So guess what? The casuals, they're going to buy that thing when it goes down to $299. Or maybe $249. You know, for the Slim is going to be $199, and that thing is going to sell like hotcakes again. Yeah. So you can't go when you're trying to move people over to the next generation. You can't be like Microsoft and go chasing the impossible dream. Though that's not gonna. It's going to take a miracle for those guys to come over. Those are the guys that buy games Christmas times and birthdays. That it is what it is. Yeah.
I think Sony's like, if you look at how Sony designed with the information we have so far, 36 CUs, you know, they still within the 10 T-flop realm instead of trying to go 12 whatever. But what they're trying to do is maximize the efficiency of the console, right?
Yes.
With bottlenecks. And I think they're purposely looking for efficiency. That way they're not spending money just on brute force. And I think that's the difference between the two consoles. Microsoft went with the brute force method. Just a powerful CPU, very powerful GPU to brute force those mechanics. Sony's like, all right, if we try to create a 52 CU GPU it's going to be expensive, and we don't want to go there. How can we go with a lower, cheaper manufacturing build, but yet what do we have to do to get the most out of it to get great performance? And I think that's what Sony.
Not only that, for The Rock, Mark Cerny himself said that they thought about that and they weighed the options. And their biggest options is the reason he went with what he went with, because he said the biggest way to see quick investment in your console and get the games is to make stuff easier for developers. So if you give them easier tools and you take away their bottlenecks, they're able to get games to run really good quicker. So it won't take 2 and 3 years before they can start seeing performance. We know when you first launch a console, you get the games that look okay, but after a year, 2, 3, then you start getting the decent looking games because they warmed up to it. Well, when you take away all the bottlenecks and all the hard development that they have, and you make it easy for them by giving them ultra fast SSD that can be used like RAM, by giving them a lot of the tools and the SDKs that they need to make this thing run quicker, then you're going to start seeing the what this system can do a hell of a lot quicker. It's not going to take 2 and 3 years. You see, even Insomniac right now are teasing like with pictures of Spider-Man with the ray tracing in the puddles and the high resolution of the hand and some of the stuff that you just couldn't get anywhere else. That is a day one launch game. So if they're able to do stuff like that with ray tracing at 4K 60 from day one, imagine
and working on Ratchet and Clank. And working on Ratchet and Clank. And doing all that crazy, riff
at the same time.
Just at the same time.
They're making 2 games at the same time, Porter Rock.
So
and they may be doing something
triple A, not double A, not a side project, not from the B team, not a passion project,
not 69 rated template.
Exactly. And so again, Mark Cerny's strategy worked this gen, and it looks like he's on to something next generation.
Okay.
And that's kind of, it is what it is, Hey, we got some super chats.
Yo, my man, Broken Games, my man BG, he said, we halfway through August. That's about 2.5 months away from new console launches and still don't know the price. Unprecedented. PS5 day one either way. That is unprecedented because usually pre-orders is here now. We would be pre-ordering.
This is E3. Generally, they drop the price at E3.
All right. And Van City 92 said, Ghost Online, no P2W will be unlocked by playing.
Yeah, play to win.
Play to win? Oh, yeah. So that's awesome. I know a lot of players like that, But like BG said, PS5 is definitely a day one because we know you got to have it to play the exclusives. And everybody knows Sony's developers are some of the best developers in the world. Like, you got to play Santa Monica. Cory Barlog. Neil Druckmann. Yeah, these dudes even, and then the studios coming up, Sucker Punch. You got Spider-Man Infamous. Like, it's crazy. And then guys like you who love racing games.
We got Naughty Dog's next project, the replacement for Uncharted. It's been 5 years now, right? So they're ready to do do what they got to do on that. So I don't know, man.
That's a good point, because Uncharted 4 came out in 16.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, 2016. So whatever they have been making to replace the Uncharted is about to get revealed or be able to drop. Yeah. I know a lot of guys say typically in generations we don't get any good games for 3 to 4 years. That has been historically. There's been a lot of validity to that. But the way it's looking now and the way Sony has stacked their games on releasing and having their other projects waiting, it looks like they did that for a reason.
There's no super chat.
Like go ahead.
My man Vedja, he said, Sucker Punch are anti-consumer towards bleeding edge players. Yo, what would happen if Ghost of Tsushima's multiplayer comes out like a breakout hit? Like crazy, tons of people start playing.
That could possibly be it. Because guess what? There's no other game like that game.
Yeah, it's unique.
Out there right now.
Yeah. That
I just learned how to kick on that Ghost of Tsushima. I just learned how to kick somebody. I didn't know I could kick.
You just upgrade that skill. That's crazy, man. I put it like this. I didn't expect that. Not from them. At best, maybe we would have got a DLC from the storyline. At best, is what I would have took. Yeah, but we know Naughty Dog is working on the Last of Us 2 multiplayer separately.
Yeah.
But I guess the argument that Sony doesn't make multiplayer games is kind of out the door right now, right?
What about one and done? Is Ghost of Tsushima still one and done?
Yep. We got Gran Turismo online multiplayer game. We got The Last of Us 2 multiplayer coming out. Now we have Ghost of Tsushima. It looks like all the arguments that you had,
and there's a Guerrilla game too.
For not buying a PlayStation or not getting into the ecosystem is slowly eroding away. So right now, people say, "Oh, the controller's too small," and this. Well, guess what? You got a bigger fucking controller. It's the same size as the Xbox, right?
No, but now they want to play on their PS4 controller.
Exactly.
When they say, but it only lasts 30 minutes.
Small controller with the low battery life, and I love that now.
This is the moment I turn off my PlayStation, it says recharge battery. Like, all right, this whole gen. Like, these dudes make it seem like you play a PlayStation for 30 minutes, you got to recharge the battery. I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on here? Now they want to play with the PS4 controller. The very controller they bash that they don't like. Oh, man, these dudes are
It's weird. It's weird, Puerto Rock, but you know what? It's also funny. Because these guys are like wet fish flopping on the floor, right? All the stuff that they said, they've been saying about PlayStation and stuff like that seems to have turned around in their face, right? Oh, it's weak, it's overheating, it's developers are having issues with getting frames. All the games are going to be 30 frames, and now all of these companies are coming out saying they're giving you performance mode, so you'll have your 60 frames. Now all those arguments are slowly eroding. Now, what else is there to hate about, right? Oh, they really don't have any games. They just got DLC, and then reports come out. Sony got the bag. They're going to every third-party developer, and they're spending the money. Now, they're anti-consumer. They shouldn't be buying up all the games from Microsoft. Like, come on, man. What are we doing?
And Microsoft raises the price of gold, and they say nothing.
Exactly.
Like they removed the $60 option for annual gold, so now the only options left is $100, which is $10 a month. I mean $120, which is $10 a month, or get the option of every 3 months, which equals to $100. So that's it. Yep. So when it comes to gold, you either pay $100 or you pay $120.
But one thing they put around,
nobody says nothing.
One thing they didn't remove is that free to play paywall.
They didn't do that either. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. They made it more expensive.
These guys, they're gonna give us Xbox Live for free. Once you just sign up for
that's a
for
lie
Game Pass,
and a rumor.
It's just included. It's just free.
It's a lie and a rumor.
Happen.
It's a lie that they
that didn't happen.
It didn't happen. What they did was they just dropped the $60. So now they made it more expensive. So now you have a choice. If you just pay gold, you're gonna pay at least $100, right? But then when you look at the $100, you're thinking to yourself, damn, if I pay an extra $80 a year, I'll still have online multiplayer, but now I'll get access to all the first-party games for free, or access to all the first-party games, plus I'll get access to some third-party. So I might as well get Game Pass Ultimate if I might end up paying $100 anyway. That's what they're doing. That is they're forcing their consumer to be like, yeah, sure, you can stick with gold, but you'll be an idiot to just pay $100. You understand what I'm saying? That's all they're doing, bro. That's what they're trying to do.
Yep.
Shout out to Van City 92. He said, "You guys think Spider-Man 2 could possibly have co-op, play as Miles and Peter? I think Horizon will for sure. They wanted to for the first one."
Well, what I heard is the Miles Morales game is going to have you're going to be able to. It's going to have Peter in there, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like a training thing.
See how much?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be playable or he's just a featured character in there, but I also want to say I'm not too thrilled about making every game have co-op and making every game have multiplayer. Yeah. Like if the developer designed it and they wanted it and it's good and it's ready and that's the way they designed it, yes. But again, I don't want them to just tack on something because a bunch of fans are just, oh, you got to have this, you got to have that. Because we've seen tacked on modes that just cheapen the game. You know what I'm saying? We've seen that before.
Crackdown multiplayer.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. What if Insomniac, after they release Spider-Man 2, right, with Peter Parker, right, and they do the same thing Sucker Punch did, where they announce a 4-player co-op, and the characters are Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Gwen, and let's say Spider-Pig. Right? And it's similar to like Tsushima, you know? You go on, do missions together, and then you have like a raid in New York City with all 4 characters and stuff like that. Each character have their own unique abilities and stuff like that. What do you think about that? If they can pull it off right.
Yeah. I'm all for it.
You know, that might be a hit, you know?
Yep.
Or, you know,
I think that's, I mean,
if they could do it right. But they know,
if I was them,
but sneak it just like Sucker Punch. Don't mention it in the beginning because you know a lot of people are gonna complain and talk shit. Just release the single player campaign, let everybody enjoy it. Yeah, give you the time to talk shit to the Xbox about Spider-Man 2, right? And then 2-3 months later, or like a month later, a free multiplayer co-op. You know, we introduce more Spider-Man characters in the universe. Spider-Pig, Gwen, you know, maybe, Spider-Man, what is it? Spider-Man from 2020, 2099. You know, those characters, each with different unique abilities. You could do co-op missions, co-op-based story mode, and then you have a raid where you face all these supervillains together.
Yeah, I faced one yesterday trying to get that damn bow. I'm
gonna tell you now. If they did something like that, I'm gonna be Spider-Pig.
Yeah. They one thing about it, man, especially with the whole Miles Morales thing, they could go so many different ways with it. That movie is so loved by a lot of people, and they did it so amazing, right. Yeah, the sky's the limit with that.
I'm telling you, people, these Xbox, you could tell they're non-gamers. Because why would you? I mean, not only is it Spider-Man, right? We're getting more Spider-Man, and we know we're gonna get a quality Spider-Man, right? But for the first time, you got an Afro-Latino character starring in a game, which is very diverse. Yes, and these dudes are so capping for Xbox that they can't even appreciate that. Like they're like, you know, and think about it, Insomniac right off the gate, 2 big AAA titles, and they can't be like, damn, bro, like Microsoft Studios need to be more like that, bro. Like
Puerto Rock, that's just crazy. It really goes down to like what you said. Well, PlayStation 5 has Miles Morales, Afro-Latino character. We got the Afro-Latino character in Grounded, the dude on the cover. Oh man, I mean, listen, I'm gonna be honest, man. God damn, Xbox right now, like there is no way about it, man. If you look at PlayStation and look at what they're offering, even look at Nintendo and what they're offering. Fuck it. Look at PC and what they're offering. Xbox.
Even PC, Half-Life, Alex. I am dying to play that game, man. I'm dying to play that game, man. I have to play Half-Life, Alex.
Everybody's eating. Everybody's in the conversation. Everybody's happy with their products. They're cheerleading. They're eating good. But Xbox guys, they get Craig and they get Phil Spencer. That's all they have. We got Craig and Phil. We got Phil and Craig.
Yeah. That should be a TV show. That should be a TV show, like Phil and Craig. Exactly. The Adventures of Phil and Craig. Phil and Craig. Phil and Craig goes to Taco Bell.
All the way around.
Listen, I hate. I was using the language I did earlier about Xbox, but listen. I've bought so many of these damn Xboxes this generation in anticipation that they would deliver on the games. And we're 7 years in right now. And yet they're telling me, well, you're going to have to wait 2 to 3 more years for some more fucking games because our games ain't ready yet. And even Halo, the biggest game they were supposed to have.
You bought people Xboxes so they could play.
So yes, it sucks ass. And
you should have bought them a PlayStation. Like, you know what, man? My bad.
Yes, my bad, man. Listen, I tried to help them, Puerto Rico. You know it. I tried to help them win EPDs early on. They wouldn't trying to help themselves, brother.
I remember what was it? The day Xbox One X launched, J-Dub gave out like 3 of them. I'm like, bro, what you doing, man? Wait till December, man. I'm trying to win a bet here. You out here buying all these Xboxes, and I'm trying to win a bet. Like, what you doing?
I remember I went and picked mine up, and I got it home, and I called J-Dub up. I'm like, hey, is there like a button I'm supposed to press to see something different?
The little bit more button.
Yeah, we done the little bit more button.
Craig, like, man, I hooked this up to my TV. I'm playing this. It looks the same as the fucking Pro. What am I doing wrong? I said, Craig, it does a little bit more. That's what they said, man. So,
and I'm like, you know what? You're right. I was like, you know what? You're right. It does do a little bit more. I mean, that's all I can say.
Craig, the only thing we can say, right? We can say the Shadow of Mordor and Red Dead. Those are the two games that are significantly better.
Yeah, significantly.
Yeah, significantly. Other than that, it's a wash. And trust me, I bought all of the games.
My man purposely bought two. He's like, we're gonna look at this shit, and he's like,
I did my own digital foundry, right? And I went on record. I said, look, Red Dead and Shadow of Mordor, those are the two games that look significantly. Everything else is a wash. Everything looks, and there's even some games, right? Even Digital Foundry went on record saying there's some games that look better on PlayStation 4 Pro. Because
they did.
Because the Xbox guys, the developers tried to focus too much on resolution and not enough on frames. Yeah. And so they had to do a lot of stuff. Even Resident Evil 3, right? They tried to do the 4K. It just didn't work out. The frames was all over the place. So they ended up moving it back to like 1800p to get some decent frames. And so we did not get our 4K 60 uncompromised like they promised.
Yeah. That's true.
And
that's true.
Here we are again, Craig, years later.
Yep.
We promised 4K 60. Yep. We've yet to see one single game running on the Xbox Series X, and these consoles are dropping within 3 months. The Halo was running on a high-end PC, and it was looking like that. So what does that tell you? Do you actually think the X Series X is going to run Halo better on the console than it does on PC? Like, think about stuff like that.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. If I'm Lisa Sue, and I'm like, wait a minute, the first time we see this is on a similar build, so it has to be an AMD build that we saw.
No, they're not.
And I got pop-in, and I got horrible textures. No.
I'm like, so that's the thing, Craig, on PC. Yeah, that's the thing. On PC, they're not held to any contract with AMD.
Standard, yeah.
It's only their console.
But it did say on a like PC or matching specs. So
no. They said similar, not specs. They said similar outcome, or what's the term?
Yeah, similar hardware is what they said.
No, not hardware. They said similar results. They're saying that it will look.
That's 12,
no, but that's just how it looks on screen. They didn't say similar hardware and specs. They just said that the results, similar outcome or similar results. That's what they're saying.
Why do they got to patch in ray tracing? They were like, we're going to have to patch ray tracing in. I'm like, how? I thought it was all hardware. So
I don't know. I need somebody to explain.
Ray tracing is not going to save this game.
I know.
You need God tracing.
You need to start.
You need Lord.
You start gaming yesterday. We know how long it takes these games to
need Lord tracing right now. You need Jesus tracing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Ray Parker Jr. can't save that game the way it was looking. They need help.
Yeah. I'm telling you, if that game's supposed to have any hope, it's 2022. 1 year is not enough.
Damn, that sucks.
2022.
I'm just saying that sucks.
I can agree with that.
2022.
I mean, what are they going to do except play
halfway?
They would and it's dead there.
Okay, here you go. God of Games. Thank you for the super chat. God of Games says, just a question. What's your guys' understanding of what Mark Cerny's quote, a rising tide will float all boats? I believe it has to do with the PS5 CUs. So while he's trying to, Mark Cerny's a brainiac, and he truly, when he did that thing, he wasn't really talking to the average guy. I
remember when he said that.
Yeah. But ultimately, he mentioned that with the CUs, currently now, like, a lot of people don't fully utilize, each CU.
They're not utilized.
They're not utilized to its full capacity, right?
It's hard to fill up those CUs versus having them run faster and having a lower amount of them.
Yeah. So again, this all goes back to just PlayStation 5 efficiency. They're trying to remove all the bottlenecks.
Let me explain it better. Let me explain it better, Puerto Rock. For any of you guys that have built your PCs, you're into PC benchmarking and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You have an i5 processor, right? Mm-hmm. Let's call it dual core. It has dual cores. Then let's say you have an i7 processor that has quad cores.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of software don't really take advantage of all of those fucking cores, right? Yeah. So in a lot of games, it's having single threads, being single thread or a single core running faster, has a better it benchmarks better. The games run better with faster speeds than it do with more cores, because if the cores aren't utilized, they're just dead weight. So the more cores you have, the lower the clocks. So what they did is they put the clock really high, and they have lower amount of cores, which is 36 CUs, which is enough to do whatever Mark Cerny says developers want to do. So therefore, the games will be able to run faster, more efficient, and it doesn't. You eliminate a lot of the bottleneck, right? And basically, the PS5 is to eliminate all bottlenecks, and it's going for efficiency, not raw power.
Yeah.
And we've seen that Sony are the masters of doing more with less. Mm-hmm. So if you can see what they did with God of War, with Ghost of Tsushima, and The Last of Us 2, and some of those games, and even Spider-Man, on 1.8 T-flops, imagine what they could do with 10.3 T-flops. So 1.7 T-flops don't mean shit in the grand scheme of things. That's the current generation right now. We're looking at 1.8 T-flop difference. Yeah. Well, next generation, it's 1.7 T-flop. So it's even a lesser difference or a gain that Xbox have. So, guys can run with it, and I applaud it. Go ahead, talk about the power. But when we see Sony games being showed off, and then we see Xbox games being showed off, nothing's going to change. You're still going to have that look of shame. And until I know they bought 18 studios, but until we see those games come out and they can prove that they can make a game above 60 Metacritic, you gotta wait and see.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah. Optimus Cole.
Matter of fact, wait and see. I gotta jump off here. I do have to get up in like 8 more hours.
We're about to cut the show right now.
Yeah. But Jada, are you gonna be streaming any flight sim stuff?
I am tomorrow.
For the weekend.
Tomorrow. Yeah, I got my flight in Yoke. Nice. I got all that. So I'm gonna be streaming in VR as well. So
awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Look forward to that thing. So everybody check out JW. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got to jump off, man. But the ride comes at 5:30 in the morning. So
all right, brother.
All right, take it easy, brother.
Anyway, hey, with that, we got a great podcast. We're gonna cut it like that. Hey, check out J-Dubs. What time you doing your thing again tomorrow?
I'll probably do it. Probably starting around 10 a.m.
All right, so 10 a.m. East Coast Central.
Yeah.
10 a.m.
Central time. So that's 11. That's 11 Eastern.
Yeah, so 11 Eastern. Check out J-Dub and his flight simulation out there. Exclusively on PC, of course, and stuff like that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Before you're on your way out, please hit the like button. Truly appreciate you guys supporting and rocking out the channel. Again, tune in next week, same exact time. We're keeping it consistent. And we're just going to push the real, just like we always do. We're going to keep it real here. Truly appreciate you all. Hit that like button. Thank you so much for rocking out. This is another episode, 60 Frames, No Lag. And, of course, I got the governor, Mario Cuomo, over here, kicking it. And, of course, I'm your only friend in these YouTube streets, all right?